Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. Happy Saturday, wherever in the world you are. I'm not sure when this will be aired, but whatever day it is, it's always a happy day. So enjoy. And I have with me two very special guests who are no strangers to this channel, the lovely HollyBaglio and, of course, Chris Latara, who have been on at least 4 or 5 times each. So if you've been watching them, you will know they are both very brave Montauk survivors. And not only Montauk, but prior to Montauk, each of them had their individual experiences. So I always think it's amazing to be able to bring survivors together, and especially if they've had similar situations, and to chat and again, just, expand our knowledge, get to know them a little bit better and their stories and just see how they coincide. So join us, get your chai, get your chocolate, get your coffee, get your tea, whatever. Put your feet up and ta-da, Holly and Chris. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. It's really, really good to see you. How are you both?
Good.
I'm waiting for you to
Nice
answer
to see you
first,
guys.
Chris.
Ladies first.
I was going to say, Holly, I think Chris is enough of a gentleman to know that that he will let the ladies speak first.
Thank
So
you.
I really think, well, and as I've said, I think both of you have been on here before, but I'd love for us maybe just to start off with a little bit of a recap, just on both of your backgrounds. So just to give the viewers again your story of survival, and just as a recap, and then we can see how you guys have, overlapped, maybe had similar experiences, what your individual experiences of Montauk and other experiences in the system have been. So, Holly, I'm gonna hand over to you first. Ladies
Okay.
first.
Thank you. Well, I was born into the MK-Ultra projects. Joseph Mangley created me. I'm an engineered human being. He used gene splicing and then implanted me in my mother's womb. And while she was pregnant with me, the MK-Ultra programming started right then and there. And I was traumatized in her womb. Uh, when I was born breech, which means I was bent in half and my butt came out first. But all my life, I have two sets of memories, one in the deep underground military bases and another set of memories on the surface of the earth. So I was put through a lot of the MK Ultra projects like IBIS, Mannequin, Alpha, Beta, Delta. I went through Project Seagate and the SSP, but I was also trafficked through Montauk. And my memories are distorted. Um, the the electric shock is one of the things it's meant to do is erase your memories. So they leave, but they do come back. And when they do come back, they're distorted. So I'm hoping by sitting here with Chris and you, Shanti, that I can jog my memories and maybe they can become clearer. But I went through these projects for 37 years of my life. And it took 8 years to deprogram and fully reintegrate. And but it feels like it's a lifelong process to still heal and learn how to function as a productive adult. So I think also another factor for me was my grandparents on my mother's side of the family raised me. And my grandfather was in the Navy. And he would come home and tell grandma how the Navy would give him and some of the other soldiers LSD and marijuana just to see what it would do. And my grandmother thought he was full of malarkey, but I think my grandfather was an unwilling, unknowing candidate to MK Ultra projects, and whatever he was exposed to with things like Project Looking Glass, they knew I was coming and they wanted to continue on with this human and genetic experimentation but but the government's really interested in psychic abilities and what they can do with them. So that's kind of the short and skinny of my background. And just so the audience knows, I'm 51. Not that it matters, but just so people have a time frame. But
Yeah.
that's you, Chris. And thank you so much for being a gentleman. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, no worries. Like me, it's similar. I wasn't like born in the not that I know of. Like like me, it's really I got recruited through a job fair. I was 6 years old. Like not just me. Like we were a bunch, and we were put in a monarch school. Like yeah, for the Monarch formation, like which is MK Ultra sub project. Similar stuff, like Montauk, etc. Like depending, like I think it's like each kid that was selected, like were had like attitude to go like towards that field or that field. So like they were like so. Uh, I think a lot of the sub projects are like a part of like the mixed project from one and from the other. Like just like, yeah, it's experimental, eh? So that's why many sub project, many experience like that, like many different subjects, like. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like it's all like coming back to the same type of treatments that are applied to do this. So yeah.
I'm just gonna check this here quickly. Holly, I just wanna, Chris, before we go any further, did you
Yeah.
have difficulty hearing Holly earlier on?
No, but you when you were speaking, I had trouble like
Okay,
the first intro.
okay. No, that's fine. I know because I can see that I'm lagging, but I had
Yeah,
problem hearing Holly. So I wanted to just make sure that it was me and not her, because if
All
it's
right.
me, it's fine, as long as it's not you, Holly. That's all. So I
I'll
just want to
sit
make sure
closer to
about
the
that.
mic. I'm sorry. I'll sit closer to the
No,
mic.
it
Maybe
was more
that'll
like
help.
no, it's more like breaking up, but it's fine. It's fine. If Chris can hear you, then it means the interference was coming from my side. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure about that before we went any further. Chris, it's you've also got a very interesting story, just from your beginnings, because even though you were not actually possibly, in having Holly's background in terms of the splicing and that sort of thing, but
yeah,
you and I have had conversations, and I think there's in your story, because your story is speaking to us of your mom pretty much, allowing you or taking you to go to these CIA little job fair type situations where the kids are introduced to these spy type lifestyles. And I know Kathy O'Brien, in fact, I heard in one of her interviews, she was speaking about these young kids as well being sold by their parents into the CIA, right? So this is not new. I mean, this is not the first incident we've heard of, but it's like they kind of, and I say seduced your mother into believing that this was um, the right thing for you, and they were going to turn you into a genius with the tests,
yeah.
and she had to sign
Career.
certain things. Yeah, and money was actually paid to your mom for
Yeah,
you to go in there. So they made it sound like this really legitimate um, experience that you were going into, and it was a very cool thing, and you were protected by the government,
yeah,
etc.,
yeah, and
etc.
a lot of
Maybe,
high people, like respected people, and like like a parent wouldn't doubt like first thought like seeing those people like in charge of like medical centers and spies and stuff like that, militaries, and like investing money on me and here like expansion for later, and like showing all this. A parent, what can like a parent say, like, like, because it's a show, like it's well built, like they built this, the approach to the parents, like it's like glamorous almost, like to be like to give your kid in this. So
Yeah. Glamorous is the
mhm,
word. I'd say glamorous. They
yeah,
glamorize this in such a way that it's, and as you say, and also let's remember at the time your father was working away from home. Your parents were married, but your
yeah,
dad was away from home quite a bit for a couple of
yeah,
months at a time. So, and your mom was working in the office with these guys, the CIA guys. So she was absolutely such a soft target, right?
yeah,
There's her young, smart kid. So let's start seducing mama. However, I have something else that I want to, and Holly, maybe you can have something to say about this as well. Chris was born with a lot of extra teeth, right? You were born with
yeah,
extra teeth in your mouth.
yeah,
And that is really like 30 odd extra teeth. Now, that is really something quite special for the cabal, which makes me also believe that you were not just randomly sought. This makes me believe or really think that there was something a lot more sinister, because there's something to be said about kids that are born with these extra teeth. I mean, supposedly you would originate from some of the giant bloodlines or the Nephilim type bloodlines, right? Because that was something there, and which of course they would find very attractive. I don't know, Chris, what do you say to that? And then Holly, I would love to hear from you what your
yeah.
thoughts on that are.
Like actually, like I got this surgery at the beginning of like when I got recruited, so it was really timed in the same time. They had to remove this from my gums because like I had like two rows of teeth, like yeah, so like I had a second rows of teeth, extra teeth kind of thing. So yeah, s-
Did anyone did anyone ever, any of your handlers or abusers or controllers, did they ever make reference to that at any point in your time there?
I think yeah, they were all like kind of on it, but um, like the way they like they knew like like from the surgery and all, but like I don't know like if they knew from
Yeah.
prior, but like even because I remember one time I was in an appointment, and like I had like a pen and a paper, and I was drawing, and like the Dr. Gettinger was talking to my mom, and like he stopped talking because like I was drawing all those the planet alignment, all the circle, like like the upside down kind of thing, like when like the shift that we're doing, that we're feeling, that people are calling the upside down, like I was drawing this, like like all the planets. So so like he took the sheet and look, like so yeah, like that was like another of the signs of like so yeah.
Wow. Very fascinating. Holly, what do you, sorry, I just put you on mute, so you can just unmute yourself, if you don't mind. There we go. What's your thoughts on that?
Forgive me, I was taking notes so I would have somewhat of a decent answer. Um, yeah, the extra wisdom teeth catches my attention, and you said you had an extra, like you had an extra row of teeth.
Yeah.
So that to me, right off the bat, my mind went to Nephilim blood or Anunnaki blood, however you say it. I'm sorry, I'm so layman and raw, but that Nephilim blood is passed down. So like in the DNA, like the knowledge of the Nephilim and their ways is like in our genetics. And when we're born, that's exactly what we remember is the knowledge from them. So like by you drawing the universe and making your drawings, that was their knowledge passed down through the blood because you're their descendant. And I think that might be another reason why they get us when like we're 3-4 years old, throw us in nursery school and preschool, then kindergarten and first grade and second grade. It's to force everybody to be programmed to something else and forget about what's actually they're innately born with, like that knowledge from their ancestors that they're born with. I think that's stolen from us the second they throw us into public or private school. But I think Mangley must have messed something up because honestly, I was not born with bottom wisdom teeth. I was born with top wisdom teeth. But when the first one grew in, it was cracked and they had to take it out. So they took that one out. They waited for the other one to grow in. And even though it was fine, they took that out. So, but when it came to like, as far as the lab coats telling us what we were and what happened, for me, like out of all my memories, I have a bunch of them, but there's only like 2 memories where the lab coats were like, oh yeah, we're turning you into a super soldier. And then the rest of the time it wasn't discussed. Or, oh yeah, clones are made of you, so nobody's going to miss you at all. You know, there's nothing special about you. This happens to everybody. But I'll tell you what's horrifying is to sit here and listen to Chris's testimony, how they pass this off as a good thing. You're going to be made better. You're going to be smarter, faster, stronger. And they pass this MK-Ultra off as good, just the same way they passed it off to my papa in the Navy. Hey, come be a part of this project. There's nothing going on here, nothing suspicious, but really, they were doing some serious experimentations and he was harmed and he doesn't realize it, just like the rest of us were. But like, I mean, I've even been told by people, oh, Holly, this MK Ultra, you know, it made you better. And I'm not trying to put down Nazi sympathizers or anything, but I have to be honest, I don't think these projects made me better. I really think it ripped apart my life. So, but anyway.
Yeah, like you say, like there's upgrades, there's stuff that is upgrade, but like as like if you weight everything, like all the laws, like all the the side effects of this, like later, like you know, like it's not worth it. Like, but in our case, like you were saying that you were, they were saying you were not special. In our case, they were saying they are special all the time. Like you know, the, the like you're special. Like that's why you're, you know, like so that's something regularly that they were saying. Like you know, like yeah, like. I don't know why the difference from one project to the other. That's interesting. That's little things like that that like my mind gets stuck on because uh, like those sub project we have to identify like what was the difference and you know like kind of learn like what was different from those projects and that's an example like you know like from like stimulating the kid to like you're special all the time to saying to another kid you're not special, like what is the goal of this, you know, like towards what next step, you know, because there's always a next step to their like what
maybe
they're
they
doing.
maybe they did it as a means of control to like in the projects I was in. I don't know, this just popped in my head, but I think it was more to keep me under control, like, oh, there's nothing special, so everybody can do this, everybody goes through this, so I better keep my mouth shut and not say anything, and this is all normal. So maybe it was just more of a means of making me keep my mouth shut and controlling
Yeah.
me. I don't know, but
Mhm.
that's
But either way,
It's
they
experimental for them too. In our stage of in our years, it was experimental for them too. So like that was part of those tests that they were probably doing, like that the approach, different approach from a kid to the other to see the result, and like
Maybe
yeah,
maybe they did it with you like that so they could avoid karma. I don't know.
yeah.
There's different reasons, but it
I
baffles me that
mean,
it's a good thing. So sorry.
no, oh, no, sorry, Holly. There's a lag, and obviously, I think we just got to accept that with the internet. But what's interesting is because on a psychological level, and we know how these guys try to mess with kids' heads, and they're going to try everything. So to me, it's like, Chris, they took you from an existing family where things were good between, there was nothing untoward initially from what we could
Yeah,
notice or you could notice, right? So you came from this loving home, your parents were married, your dad was
yeah,
working hard, your mom was doing her job, looking after you, and then, ooh, you spotted this special little boy. And then, along with some of your other peers as well. So there's this circle group of you that are made to feel superior.
yeah.
Superior. Let's think about that.
And
But
all along
the
our years of
culture,
at school and all, we were all like the ones that were in the group were like
yes.
really like uh kind of
But
boosted
then,
compared to the others. like for the stuff we
yes.
did, like the yeah, like we were
But then
boosted like on
behind the
steroids
scenes,
kind of thing. Yeah, compared to the
but
other
then
kids.
behind, but then behind the scenes, you are tortured as much.
Yeah,
So the reason you are tortured is because you are special. And only special kids can deal with this torture. And oh,
yeah,
look at you. You were able to see that. Oh, you special. Yes, you see, now you can take more. So they kind of push you more to the extremes by, I mean, it's like that superior, I would imagine that Third Reich consciousness,
yeah,
Nazi consciousness where you are superior. But
yeah,
but that is not gained through without pain and suffering. So you get there through pain and suffering. Holly, I think what I see like with you guys that were literally taken in before birth or created. They're doing the opposite because they've already implanted different types of DNA, right, from whoever their family bloodlines are. So they're creating this and they're therefore um, traumatizing you to push you to the hilt, but in the other way, by telling you you are nothing. Yet, in their mind, because if you look at your DNA, they certainly believe you are superior because they wouldn't have spliced you that way if
yeah,
you weren't superior in their eyes, right? Now they're taking the opposite angle, telling you how terrible you are, and there's a clone of you. They won't miss you. We'll just kill you. You'll get born again. Without you realizing what a phenomenal kid you are, actually. Do you know what I'm saying? So they take that knowledge away from you. And it's like two sides of the same coin, and they're trying to achieve the same result. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. What do you guys say about that?
yeah, yeah. That's stuff like we have to talk like between like the generations or sample like us. We're pretty much in the same generation. So like that's like the difference between the sub project from like so yeah, once all those little difference identified, like we'll be able to like say like okay, that project number was like for like that technique, have like a well elaborated like schematic of like what they did, like so that would be like the
Absolutely.
best thing, like the best tool to have for to help other survivors, like to diagnose, to like like give the right treatment, the right help, the right support, like just to know like what they went through, and like so I think that would be a good thing to like put
Definitely.
forward, like like put a kind of a storage of all those like information details, and like yeah, made
I
this
like what you
accessible
said,
to.
Chris. Sorry, about the generations, that the different generations need to be talking. I would love to hear some of the younger kids at the moment, because I'm pretty damn sure there must be a lot of teenagers and a lot of kids in their 20s and 30s that
Mhm.
probably still under some quite strong MK Ultra. But I would love to start seeing the younger generation start coming out and start
Yeah,
speaking about this. Holly,
and
what
the
is your
psychic
take on that?
kids, the psychic
Yeah,
kids
sorry,
are still recruited.
psychic kids. Yeah,
Yeah, that's still going on. Like they're still recruiting everywhere. Like they have ways to like see the kid to spot them. Like and they have all the blood tests. They have access to all this. Like their blood type and all. And so yeah, like if people think that this is stopped, that like like there's no yeah, like Montauk is just different ways now. Like it's just different place. But yeah, like there's still like stuff like that is still going on, and yeah, I think like
definitely.
we're
They've
all here
just
to
moved
expose this. So,
for sure,
yeah,
for sure. Holly, what do you
Yeah,
say to that?
I wonder how the younger generations, what the projects are like and what they go through. I would imagine it's more advanced than what we experienced. I would
yeah,
think. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
it would.
The different technique. Like the electronic part is probably like more, but the base is probably the same technique. But like the electronic that they're like, because the evolution of electronic is. So yeah, like I think like the imagery they pass or stuff like that must be more like uh, a virtual reality kind of thing than like what we had in our days. Like that was must be more like the accent words, like because they want to merge like
Mm.
to with
Virtual
the
reality, I think,
yeah.
virtual reality. That makes perfect sense. That the kids would be, and with the games, engaging, interfacing. And, if we're watching, I mean, if they're always telling us in plain sight what they're doing. So, like this new, and we're going to be talking about Stranger Things as well, this new Stranger Things series that has just come out. And we're seeing the kids in these movies. In my opinion, there's no ways these kids have not been, I don't know, engaging or taken into these projects where they're doing these amazing kind of movies and stuff like that. So I don't know, Holly, what is your take? I mean, you've also had a lot of experience in those realms.
Yeah, I hope I understood it correctly, but yeah, I would think that they would be accessing the children more in the spirit realm, um, but I don't know. Um, as far as the kids that were in the movie Stranger Things, I can only imagine what they experienced and how they were approached with the MK Ultra. Um, but the series itself, I only saw the first 2 years that it came out, so I kind of have to catch up on it. But I thought it was the most powerful during the first season, when it was actually showing her in the base and being tortured. So, but yeah, just it hit a nerve. I could not believe they actually came out with a series like that and they actually got away with it. Um, and it felt like they had stolen parts of the trauma and torture that I had experienced and exploited it on the big screen. Um, like, I mean, I'm happy for documentaries because I want to jog my memories. I need to wake up and I need to know the world around me. But I really feel that Stranger Things exploited the traumas and tortures, and now they're making revenue and treating it like it's entertainment. And that hurts. Um, that hurts. There was another super soldier who reached out to me, sending me a series named Heroes. And he was like, Holly, you don't understand. Watch this and you'll see why I'm so mad. And it turned out that the traumas and tortures that him and I experienced, they're in this series and they're glamorizing it.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt like a slap in the face. You know, I think it was the way it was presented is the reason why it felt like a slap in the face. It was like, gee, thanks. You took our experiences. You're getting rich off of it. And we're left out in the cold. Thanks a lot. Once again, we're left out in the cold. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That sucks because, yeah, like in my case, like they pushed it even to like take the car we had like during the project, the same color and all. Like that's the car of the mom, and the mom looks like my mom, like what she looked like the same car as we had, like the a green Pinto, like that's what we had during the project, and like that's what they're driving. The mom looks like, and like the 80s, like exactly the, and like it's all based of what happened to me on that, like so
right.
yeah, like there's a lot of signs, and yeah, it's insulting that they're transforming like our trauma into a fairy tale, and uh,
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to insult you, Chris, and what you've gone through, but yeah, Stranger Things in the first series, the two little kids, the two sisters, their names were Holly and Nancy. And when I heard that, I was like, what? My name's Holly
yeah,
Nancy. Like, and just
Yeah.
11, and the number 11 has a lot of significance even now in my life. And I know, and I think that goes back to the programming where we were
yeah,
programmed with similar things. So it's going to trigger us in the same manners. And I don't mean to take away from you and your life, but yeah, it was a smack in the face. I think it was a smack in the face to all of us. And they're not giving us compensation, and it seems like those actors and
Yeah.
actresses want to go through MK Ultra so they can do the movie to get the money, and I don't
yeah.
like that either.
Yeah, like Chantal, you were talking about like them being under control. For sure, they are under control. Just look at their interview, how they stand, how they're like like they have a few people that control everything they say, everything they do, everything like those kids are like, oh yeah, nice stars, but like they're just going through the kind of policing of the MK Ultra. Like for sure they have like I'm not sure if they've been through all the Monarch programming and all. Like they're probably just like doing certain things for certain type of kids, for actors. Like they won't need to be spies or or stuff like that, or in tune with themselves, or like they just need to be basic robots. So like like say yes, say no, blah blah blah. So that's kind of like the the programming difference. I think like one of the difference in those sub project too, depending like the field they're going to, or but yeah, like for sure those kids are under control. Like like yeah, I saw a few interviews of them talking about like, oh yeah, it's based on Montauk, like, but everything they say you feel is like there's a lock on it, like it's like everything's controlled, like and yeah, like there's no space for like an extra word, or like a thought, or like how they feel about this, or it's really just like read this. So like that's my
Yeah.
that's how I see it anyway. Like
Absolutely. More, definitely more kind of, as you say, robotic, controlled. What I want to, I mean, you guys have, and what's very clear to me, and I'm not an expert on Montauk. I'm definitely in the last few months, I've been obviously researching and listening to a lot more information, and it's uncanny to me what is all unfolding and how they've manipulated so many people in these projects, and how what I- it's such a, I think, for me, that has never even known these things exist before. It's been I've had to really wrap my head around how they manipulate and control not only children but the entire planet, really. So both of you have had sort of similar experiences, and like one thing for me that the two of you spoke about was the cages, when you were taken to the cages, and also, Chris, what you mentioned, that you didn't encounter, you were not with any girls at Montauk.
Yeah.
Holly, I'd be
And a lot of
interested to know if you
sorry,
carry
a
on,
lot of
Chris.
the girls also that talk about Montauk talk about like white rooms. In our case, Montauk wasn't like a white room. It was concrete, old concrete, and no place, no white there, no cleanness. Like, I think probably that's why they were bringing girls to another place with more hygienic, like for like infections and stuff like that. Because a boy is easier than a girl, like to deal with those issues, like and those places, because like the it was so gross in there, like like the blood from years, and like so yeah, I think really like they had two different, because like I was in a cage at Montauk, and I was in a cage at another place too. The cage were not the same thing. Like we were standing up in them, so, and there were girls, and so yeah, like there's different places like that. Like in my book, like I closed like 5 6 places like that. They were using mass production for kids, like to produce like kids in mass production. So for years, now they're limited. They can't use those places anymore because yeah, like they won't take the risk of like with everything I put out. Like yeah, so
I must have been the most unluckiest girl because I was never in nice white rooms. I remember it being all concrete, cold,
okay,
dark,
yeah,
dingy. I never remember white rooms. I thought that the cages in Montauk were closed in, and only a peephole. But I remember being in different kinds of cages, like ones that were metal and we were like chained into it, like chained to the cage itself.
okay,
Um, and sometimes the cages were stacked, but I never remember a nice white room. Um, there is a room that I remember that had like white and green tiles, but still, even below the cages, there was like, I don't know, a gutter type thing. So it would catch,
yeah,
the excrement, and then it would fall down through the cage and then go out on the bottom. There was like a gutter or drain type thing, but it was still dingy and
mm,
disgusting. Um, but yeah, I never got a white room. I'm kind of actually sore about that.
yeah,
Actually, I gotta be honest. Now that I'm saying that, I have a memory of being strapped down onto a gurney in a white room, and I think it was Cameron. The programmer had white hair, tall and kind of thin, and he was electrocuting the daylights out of me, and he had those knobs all turned up. Um, but
mm,
otherwise, like Montauk was dingy and dark, like concrete,
yeah.
like you said, just like you
Yeah,
said.
the smell of because there were a lot of stagnant water there, so like the smell of stagnant water mixed with blood, that's like Montauk, like yeah, like you were tasting it on your tongue, like the metallic taste of the blood, like from in the air, because there were so much blood in that place. So yeah, like that was like something like. And our section of cage were like actually like kind of like storage, and they were putting panels in front of us, and we were just we could have like moved the panel and tried to get out, but like they were installing a kid that was checking and snitching if like we were like talking or like trying to get out, or and the guards were coming making rounds, so and when you heard them like coming because they were laughing and yeah, all this was made in a way to stress us, you were hearing them laughing, like you were just like crawling in your like corner of the cage and just like hoping they weren't coming for you, like uh that's like the memories, and just to bring you to the waterboarding, because there were an open room close to the cage area, and yeah, like there were a water pan there. They were making us waterboarding us, and they had like a cattle prop in that room too, and one time we were like four, and like they were making us wash the wall, and like they were scaring us with the cattle prod, and like because we couldn't look while the other was getting like a waterboard, and we all had to go and like the other like guard military was scaring us with the zapper in our face, close to us so that we wouldn't turn. So yeah, it was. So that's the. But you gotta realize that like do this to me now, it won't be like that, but we were kids 8 years old, you get scared of that kind of treatment. Like today, I wouldn't tolerate any of this, but yeah, at 8 years old, the size I had, because
You're a kid, man.
uh the survivors, we all have that reflex of thinking of how we could have make it better or less, or avoid things, or we're the tape is playing in our mind back and forth, and trying to just see it better in our mind. I don't know, because it won't change shit, but it's just a reflex, or I don't know, we have this, what could I've fucking changed there? What did I do wrong? Or you analyze things, eh? So yeah, so anyway, in my case, there's a lot of wow, and sometimes you go to you follow a memory, or and oh yeah, I was thinking of that, and you follow that thought, and it brings you to something else, so another piece of the memory, and so yeah, the electroshocks and stuff like that, damage, but all those memories are still there, and they just want to come out, and yeah, you just have to analyze everything in those image and those memory, because we have a photographic memory, so you just have to use every element in the picture, and yeah, sometimes it just brings us to more, and yeah, so but at the same time, nobody will want to live all their life looking at their past. You got to look at the future, you got to look at the healing, you got to look at so it's a matter of balance, and yeah, it's not easy when you're damaged, and also yeah, having help, and to just get back on track is something that every MK survivor should have available. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I fully agree with you there.
Yeah, that was one thing I
Um,
noticed, that some of the kids, like when I woke up in 2014, in 2016, I started to publicly give my testimony, and I got to reunite with some people that I was trafficked with, but also just people that were trafficked in general. And I noticed that among all of them, all of us were saying, you know, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I was forced to, and I apologize. I would have never done that on my own choice, and I'm sorry. And it was not your fault. You did not deserve that. Um, and I noticed that, you know, among us survivors from the cages, we definitely have consideration for one another. Um, and I really definitely needed that when I was waking up and deprogramming. Um, just to come from another kid from a cage, it meant a lot to hear that. So, you know, just to be even to able to sleep at night and have peace, because you know all those thoughts of why didn't I do this? Why didn't I think to do that? Or, and with my memories so distorted, you know, I just cycle around and keep beating myself up. But yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's difficult, you know, when memories are being retrieved, and especially I think Holly, you and you also spoke about drawing pictures and trying to put things on a timeline, and I think that must be, hey, for someone who hasn't been SRA'd, I sometimes battle to put things on a timeline, right? But I think that's, you know, that I think is such an important thing. And coming up, you know, and as you say, Chris, like when these memories start surfacing, right? Um, I don't think it's easy, absolutely not, to know what to do with those thoughts all the time, and how to deal with them. But I think that is also part of, I want to say, the programming, right? Is that when you wake up, you kind of feel like you're going a little bit crazy, maybe. You have no idea what's real and what's not real. How do you, both of you, how do you, and Chris, I'll ask you first, how do you discern, or how has it been for you to discern when, you know, with your memories being recovered, what's real and what's not real, and in which order to put them? Have you been able to start unpacking things in, let's say, a more um, an order where it's flowing, following on type thing?
Yeah. In my case, my memories are really clear. Like for when it comes to memory, or like like you're building one. Sometimes you wanna fill gaps, or and I I really see the difference. So like I don't fill gaps. I give what I have. What I don't have, I don't have. But I really like it's like there's a smell to the memories, and there's a smell to those gaps, and they don't mix together, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
It's clear, like I see a memory. There's blueprint of it, kind of thing, with it. The other one, there's no blueprint, kind of you know uh, it's hard to explain, but in my case, I really know uh like what's experience, or what's a dream, or there's a really good clear
Yeah,
difference. Like they trained me for this, so yeah, the photographic memory,
right.
the elements, that's
Sometimes it's
all stuff that they taught us how to use, so yeah, that part I remember, because
right.
yeah.
I
Wow.
remember having a photographic memory, but once I woke up to the MK Ultra and started to deprogram, all of that went away. It's like I lost some things. But my memories are so fragmented. I'm lucky if I can have one full, complete memory. So I'm still struggling to get that back. I do draw pictures once in a while, but it's not as much as, you know, like 10 years ago when I first woke up. because the memories come back slower now. It takes a lot more time. But
Mm,
I think maybe if I went to some of the places where I was trafficked, then the memories would come back, you know.
yeah.
But I've gotten
I
as far as I can get sitting behind my computer trying to jog my memories, you know. But
yeah,
Sometimes just thinking about it, it's like a bit like an old like a VHS tape, like like a play, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, and like at some point, like poof, like there's a part that like reappears, like oh yeah, like and it's just like it was always there, it's just like you didn't remember it. But like you see, it's not something you build or like it's not like it's really like a memory. There's yeah, like I said, there's a print to it. There's a yeah, it's
it's
not the
signature.
same thing. Yeah,
like
Yeah,
that's another
it's like a fingerprint.
yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
Holly, carry on.
yeah, like if a memory comes back sometimes I feel like, oh my god, how did I forget that? How it was sitting right there the whole time, but I didn't think of it. Like
Yeah,
how could it have slipped my memory
yeah,
this long? And but it, yeah, so
yeah,
it's weird how the mind operates.
yeah. And like you look at something like in the image that you see, and poof, like a memory of like when you were looking at this, like the next memory, and it come automatically, like kind of thing, like.
Yep.
So yeah, it's the more you play in those memories, it's kind of like cleaning the tape, and other places are like reappearing on that tape. You know that were it's kind of VHS tape that's dirty, and you're playing and playing, and it cleans it up, and like you yeah. So
Becomes clearer. Yeah,
yeah,
wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Chris, I want to ask you again. I know you've got a very interesting and I know controversial story um,
yeah,
in your life. And I know we have spoken about things also in our previous interviews, but what I really want to maybe just ask you and sort of highlight again today is your story being Duncan Cameron and
yeah,
what happened on at Camp Hero on the 12th of August 1983. Now, I know, and I want to just preface this by saying, I know your voice is being heavily silenced around this topic.
mm,
Um, and I know also just from having a lot of conversations with you about this, because I like to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And there's so many pieces of the puzzle that fit. Um,
mm,
but I do believe that your voice is being silenced around this. You're up against some heavy, heavy hitters because those heavy hitters cannot allow for your true story to be made public, actually, because it would then completely debunk everything, right?
yeah,
And this is what I'm saying, just specifically with your story and your journey, call it the Montauk journey. Gosh, I don't like that word. Ah, Montauk is apparently such a beautiful place. I don't know, but I can't imagine that there's anything pretty there after hearing that. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. Maybe you want to just, yeah, give us a little bit of of what happened again. How did you get to Montauk? Because I know you also had to go through tests, waterboarding,
yeah.
and then was
The same
selected from.
the
Carry on.
same tests the same tests that were done in Stranger Thing, pretty much, like water deprivation, like in pitch dark, like in a water gasket. Except us, it was really like not like nice, like they're using, and like it was more like crude, like they're making it nice now, but like yeah, we're in like a sample like the test I did to go to Montauk before like was I was laying down on in a gasket full of water, and like they were closing the cover of the gasket, and like they were tying our head in the bottom of the gasket so that we couldn't lift and like take air. So we were like probably just an inch of air for the nose and the mouth. And like soon as they were closing the cover of this, we were in pitch black, and like they were splashing water in it. So yeah, like like that's not stuff they show in like like the real part of this. Like hey, we were all getting out of that those gaskets because there were two, one next to the other, and a little ladder in the middle. And yeah, like they were we were all like crying, like, and they were just like, ah, okay, 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 shut up, shut up. Like they were rude with us, like and yeah, like that's just one of the tests. But yeah, like that
Was
brought me to
that the
Montauk.
test? Yeah, and that was the one where you had to remote view your handler and read something that was on his T-shirt,
Yeah, astral
and you,
projecting. Yeah, like I
yeah,
did astral
astral
projecting.
projecting.
I went to the school, like looked around in the school. I had to find him, and like he had two words on him. I said those two words. They stopped the machine. Like, yeah, they were like really happy that day because like that the thing worked. I'm the only one that did it that day. So like, yeah.
Holly, did you have anything like that ever, where you guys were? I know waterboarding was also part of your torture. I mean, was it for a similar reason and a similar purpose? You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I remember
Okay.
him Mangley drowning me, leaving. I guess he left me dead for a couple of minutes, but I remember him resuscitating me and then waiting in line for him to do it again. So, like, all the kids were going through it. It wasn't just me, but once he was done and we were resuscitated, we'd stand in line and wait for him to do it again. So, I thought that was just programming our soul. Like, I, I thought that was some kind of programming to send us to hell. I never understood exactly why he did it, but I know that I remember it being painful.
Yeah,
And
like
yeah, that's I
us
think
too. Like
what
they were doing this at Montauk, like waterboarding us till we were drowning, and like they were reanimating us. Okay, and like, okay, get back on your knees, and they were doing it again. So like, I don't know if like that was to like just really break us, or but yeah, like that's something I remember, like the like waking us up, like emptying us of the water, and like throwing us back in the water. So like that was kind of like the fuck, like like a kid. So
dissociation, the way they get you to dissociate. Yeah, I think that would be one of the drowning would be one of the main ways they get the kids to dissociate because either it's going to kill you or you're going to astral project. And they'll weaponize that gift against you now. Now you obviously become a weapon for them. You now become a psychic weapon, and you can do so under trauma because that's how they do it with the kids. I mean, all these gifts. You see, it's like for me, it's amazing to look at both of you, very gifted humans, right? And naturally, it's like, us human beings are like a flower. Put us in the right environment, nurture us and feed us, whatever. In time, we all open up and blossom, and our gifts are naturally shared with those around us. But, in this case, they've wanted the only way they can do that is through the trauma of kids, and they know that. So it's like forcing that medicine out of you prematurely, but now they can mold it and now they can do with it what they want. So through the dissociated state, I reckon that's when they will do. Now, as I said, you now become a psychic weapon. I'm interested, Chris. So from Montauk, obviously, from that um, experience where you were waterboarded, you were then obviously sent to Montauk, and you were one of the boys on the Montauk chair that was. Tell us a little bit about the chair, for starters. I mean, what was your experience on that chair? And Holly, I know you were on the chair as well, and I'd love to hear what your experience afterwards on the chair was as well.
Uh, Honestly, like the chair was just cold. Like it was stainless steel. Um, yeah, like we had like a bunch of like a mask on our face. We were breathing vapors and like a hat with a bunch of little like sensors on it, like sensors on us, and yeah, like they were sending us through a portal that was like purple, like a bit like a mirror that they were lining up in front of us on the chair. And like as soon as they were like starting the thing, like there were a tarp over it, like that they were removing over that and yeah, like it was like the effect of like pulling us into like as soon as you were putting your eyes and looking at the purple, it was the effect was like almost instant, like an instant, like like you were like leaving through it, like like. So I think that was a tool for like the kids that had problems to leave like to astral projection, because they I think they were using us to map everything, like from like. Like they were sending us everywhere, and the ones that weren't coming back. Like I think that's pretty much
Did
like the use they made, like for a bunch of the kids were like to send us to explore and map everything for them. So
in the obviously the outer
yeah,
realms.
you world.
Yeah. Did you, when you said there were kids that didn't come back, did you know any kids that actually died in the chair? I know you spoke about kids in the cages and stuff like that. Do you
Yeah,
know?
I saw a kid that was dead there, like, but like I didn't see any kids like died on the chair, or like I wasn't witness of it, except for the kids of the SRA, like for sacrifice and stuff like that. But like at Montauk, I didn't see any kids like get killed. Like I saw like a dead kid like
Right.
hanged up in front of my cell. Yeah, and I know like they were talking openly about it, like that like it was a hard place, and like like it was,
Mm,
those kids like
sure.
I don't know how many like really died there, like but supposedly it was 1% of us that was making it out of there. And like if I go with my asset number, like I was the kid almost 6,500 kids before me. So
Wow.
and
So
like that's
you
like just like when you get that asset numbers, because like you went through all. So like imagine how many didn't went through, like didn't made it through, because like there are
sure.
people that think it's easy, and like that place was like really not the normal place. Like even like through all the tests I did, like in the other places, this was really the worst. Montauk, like
Sure. No, I can believe that. Holly, what was your experience being in the chair?
Honestly, I just remember being so terrified. I remember sitting in the chair with the electrodes, and I just remember being so terrified. I was scared if I was going to make it back or not. So I was already blacking out at that point because I didn't want to get stuck out there.
Yeah.
So that fear in and of
Wow.
itself, the second I sat in that seat, I was terrified and I started losing consciousness. So I don't really remember what happened after
Dissociate,
that.
yeah, yeah. It's your alters that are kicking in, like through the stress of the cold and all. The, like the cold was probably like a thing to get us back to the, in the outer state, from the traumas, from other traumas, and also like you're just like going easier in that state. Yeah, so that's their goal, like to play with that torture and that trauma and like use it well against you. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Just sheer terror. That was my experience, to be honest.
Right.
yeah,
Did you see any, or like what Chris and I also know other survivors have spoken about that purplish portal energy that you
Uh,
kind of get sucked into?
um, I have a memory that's fragmented of being sucked into something, but I always associated it with being injected with black goo. But I'm
mm,
starting to second guess myself. Off the bat, I have to say no. I'm really frustrated because I can't remember exactly what happens as soon as I sit down in that chair and the fear takes over me.
yeah,
Um, but I do remember being sucked down like what seemed a long, dark tunnel, and I hated that feeling and the sinking feeling in my
Sure.
stomach and the fear of not
yeah.
getting back.
You cut out.
Sorry, I was looking at the computer and everything just went black, and now it popped back up. But
Mm,
the
good.
fear of not being able to get back home was overwhelming. So I think with my distorted memories, I might be putting the wrong memory to things.
Yeah,
So I'm still
I
sorting it
think
out.
it's very, yeah, I think it's very interesting what you're saying, like sitting on the chair and the fear takes over, because that makes me also realize how many other kids must have sat in that chair and had a similar type fear, right? Because my God, can you imagine sitting in that chair as a kid and they're putting this thing on your head and suddenly everything starts moving and talking, and I can't imagine you know I can't imagine what a sensory overload that must be for a young kid. So makes a lot of sense what you're saying, Holly. And Chris, with you as well, I can also understand why there would have had to be certain, you would have had to have certain um, spiritual strengths, I want to say, gifts,
yeah,
to be able to do a lot of this off-worldly, off-earthly work. And from what the both of you are telling me, you've both obviously been doing it, but in sort of different. It's like the two of you coming in from the one being told you superior and the other one being told you nothing, and how they've worked these programs from
yeah,
either side of this coin. It's very fascinating for me. And I love the idea of having more of these conversations so that between a lot of us, we can figure out what the hell all of these intricacies are about. But
yeah,
before we're doing that, Chris, I would love for you maybe just to talk to us again on your situation. And you've got your asset number. Your asset number is Duncan Cameron. Your name
yeah,
on your CIA asset number is
yeah,
Duncan Cameron. So
yeah,
I know you've had a lot of backlash around that, about this whole Duncan Cameron fiasco that's been playing itself out. And I know,
yeah,
I have no doubt that is one of the reasons why your voice has been silenced as much as what it
yeah.
has. But let's reiterate: you have your CIA documentation, your
Oh
asset
yeah,
number, and your code name, Duncan Cameron.
yeah,
Now,
and
Duncan Cameron,
the book is a sworn statement. It's a legal statement, like a court document. Um, but like yeah, there's one of the survivor, I won't say his family name, but his first name is Stewart. Like yeah, he's a dick. And yeah, like sorry, but yeah, like the guy is using my story and like trying to say that like and make a guy pass for me that was 30 years too old. And like the guy is dead now and all, but the guy had the real name Duncan Cameron. And like I think that's a big black ops. And like yeah, I'm gonna put the mess in their black ops now because like yeah, like they're using my story and they're saying I'm dead, and they're gonna feel that I'm not dead. Like,
Because yeah,
yeah, I'm
they had.
nice
I
to a
mean,
certain point. Yeah. So like I was trying to help, like to save his reputation, but now like this Stewart, like the little rat, like little Stewart. So yeah, like yeah, I'm gonna
I,
have fun a
I
bit,
think
like
it's.
yeah,
I think it's so important that because um, I'm so grateful that you have your asset number and your
yeah,
CIA document with your name, because that really does prove who you are. And as you say, your book really is your sworn statement as well,
yeah.
despite all the discredit or attempted discreditings that are going on. But
Because I would
tell
be in
us
jail if like
again.
I would like produce like pass for a CIA asset and like produce a false like legal document and all. I'd be in jail like for a long time. So like I'm still out. So wonder why? Yeah,
Exactly. No, exactly. And I think this situation highlights for me as well what I always say. The ones who have the titles, the doctorates, the reverends, the professors, the this, plus the careers, the 27,000 books. Um, very often that is controlled opposition. I'm not saying
yeah.
every single successful person out there is controlled opposition. Please, you've got to be discerning as well. But I am saying in this area, in this arena, the survivor arena, we need to be very discerning when it comes to certain things, because we know there's a lot of handlers and there's a lot of programmers that are still operating within this arena.
Some of
So
the
they
kids were
will.
some of the kids were built to be the like programmers and like trainers and like handlers. Like take for example the little Stewart, the little rat. Like he was always sitting with the like the handlers in front in the car, like like being treated like not being beaten or stuff like that. Yeah, and like. And now he's using like the story and making a lot of money and like doing good in life and yeah like saying bullshit and like the narrative that it's all matter of control. I'm not controllable, so like
No,
sorry for
you're not.
them. So yeah,
Holly, take yourself off mute if you don't mind. I'd love you to join the conversation, because I see you actually have some interesting facial comments in response to what Chris is saying. What do you say about what Chris is saying?
I'm well. There's some people's names who I won't pronounce, and I'm not sure if it's the same person or not. But I would absolutely be on the side of Chris, and I would trust Chris's discernment in this category and situation. Absolutely. And I'm sorry that you've been put through this, Chris, by
yeah,
that other person. My facial expressions are because if it's the same person I'm thinking about, then again, I'm really sorry that you've been through it. And if it's the same person I'm thinking about, I've been terrified to even say their name. And I'd really like to get over that fear sometime soon. I don't want to push it, but I also did not want to hide my emotions either, because um, I also know that person to be a programmer and on the side of wrong
yeah.
and on the
So
side of evil.
yeah,
So thank you for being brave enough to talk about it, because I've been a coward in that specific category
yeah,
with there not being certain names that I'll speak about. But again, I'd like to
Yeah.
get over some of my fears.
Yeah.
You're not a coward,
I'm
Holly.
sorry
Let's just
you're still stuck with yeah, with this little Stewart. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. Anyway, like I won't talk too
such
much,
a
but like
rebel. But
hi, Stewart.
I totally
Yeah,
I needed you to put it in.
where did Holly go?
no,
Oh, she's back.
I'm not.
Okay. Well, I think that's really important, because this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And guys, I know we're having a chuckle, yeah. And these are not really often matters that we chuckle about, but honestly, if we haven't learned by now, if you don't laugh, you're probably gonna die. So you may as well laugh, and I'd rather die laughing
yeah,
than anything else.
exactly. Yeah,
So, right. So yes, there are some very sus people out there, and but you also, just going back to your Duncan Cameron story, Chris. I want to make that very clear. As you were
yeah.
saying, if in any way you were being for faking your asset number, or the name of your code name, call it code name, that obviously would
That
be,
would come back. Like like you can't produce like
yeah,
hey, especially on a sworn
yeah. No, you,
statement where like you like when you're an asset and like the consequences are real and like are heavy, especially for us. So like ask anybody like like you don't go lightly with this and like like that's the fact and like yeah. So um, yeah, like my story
also,
is more like like I cut the bullshit that like he added to popularize or like whatever or like kind of like sidetrack people like from like the real like treatment that we had and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's all part of a narrative that I'm breaking out. Like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So take us back to Camp Hero on 12 August 1983. You are Duncan Cameron,
Yeah.
uh, little boy. You've had already quite a bit of 2 years worth of programming, torture, probably psychic training, whatever they've done
Yeah.
to you up until this point, and then you go to Montauk on that day. So, can you talk us through what happened?
Yeah, like I was on the chair. Like they sent me to do like I had this time. I had to go and open my gateway, and like Jack was sitting next to me. Jack was an handler, uh, and like he was supposed to guide me back, like so I wouldn't get lost because that was the main fear. And like when I woke up, like I was by myself, like nobody guided me up, and that's where I started. I was still hooked up to the chair. I was left by myself, like in the little room, and I
He
started.
wasn't there with you. He
No,
wasn't
so like
there with you. He left you on your own.
yeah, so like I lost trust in him, like because like that was the main fear, like to could have died there. So, yeah, I was cold on the chair and started thinking of my comfort home, my blanket, my little monsters, like because I was doing a dome and I had my glow in the dark stickers of monsters. But like the thing is that there's a portal that opened on the wall of because like in front of the chair there were a wall of breakers and there's a light that started to appear and like getting bigger and bigger and bigger and like one monster at a time came out and like they started smashing the place and killing staff and all like they shut the place down like we all got evacuated like yeah
So what you're saying is, and I want to just sort of recap that just to wrap it up for those who haven't heard before. Chris, you had a set of these glow in the dark monsters at home as a little kid,
Yeah.
and you at night used to sit with your blanket over you with your flashlight and make these monsters
Oh no,
glow.
like
So,
I charged them at daylight all
oh,
day, like
before
while
in
I
day,
was at
okay,
school, and like they
in the
were
sun,
glowing
yeah,
like super strong. And yeah, I was going to bed,
right.
making a dome, and that was my little like space. Like everything was lighting up in my like a white blanket from an hospital. So like
Your
yeah, those soft one.
so
Like
that
so
was
yeah,
like your it was like your little safe space. And I want to
yeah,
just also just give this for context because we're gonna as we go further, it'll make sense. It's like as a kid that's been tortured for 2 years and your father's not there, he's mostly away, your mum can't protect you, you know by now that you're at the mercy of the dark, call them the real monsters, right?
yeah,
So for me, it would make a lot of sense as a little boy coming home at night, having your glow in the dark stickers with your characters that have been charged up in the sun the whole day, putting your blanket over you. That's your safe space,
yeah,
and that's where you really enjoy these little monsters, if you call them
yeah,
that, um, that you already had made friends with, had
mhm,
become part of you, part of your nature, was part of who you are, right? Part of your, not you are as a person, but part of your, I guess, your friendship circle, right?
yeah,
So you have a friendship circle with these monsters. And then you get put into the Montauk chair, and this portal opens, and who comes in but the very same characters from your sticker collection. So
yeah,
the same characters from your sticker collection that you felt safe with every night came in and literally broke down Camp Hero. I
yeah,
heard you on another interview speak about one of them actually standing next to you. Can you
yeah,
talk to us about that and who that was? And can you also
yeah.
tell us who these characters were? What do you remember about them coming in?
I think it's the Universal monsters, or anyway, like there's a werewolf, Frankenstein, a swamp man, mummy, Dracula, and the Bride of Frankenstein, and that's the monsters. But they were all like kind of like a glowing sticker, like but really like powerful, like just like the light. So yeah, that's what happened. Like the last monsters was the Bride of Frankenstein, and she stayed by me, like and like kind of telepathically reassured me. And Preston came at some point, and like she moved like to make him space. Like he took off the catheter and like all the plugs and all. He grabbed me on him and like he put me out. Like he brought me out to the army trucks. So yeah, like there were two army trucks with tarps and like rows of seat in the back, and like we sat in there. Like they gave us a gray blanket. Some people like went and got some military jogging suits after they dispatched this to us. Like and there's a bus that came. It passed like on the side of the army trucks, and like it passed in front, and they came on the side, and they made us transfer from the army truck to the bus. And while I was transferring, my carpenter was arriving with his car, and Preston just got me out of the bus and like brought me to my handler and told him like get him out of here because they'll use him as a guinea pig. So yeah, we followed the bus that was like a school bus, regular school bus, but with blacked out window. And for a bit, I don't know where they went, but yeah, us we went to Memory Motel to clean me off, and after he had to bring me back to my mom, and I was all bruised up, and also like that was. That was something,
Because usually after your torture sessions, you would go to the you'd sort of
acid
have a
house.
few days recovering. Acid house, that's right, where
Yeah,
you'd recover and your
yeah, and
bruises would
being
fade and
programmed and
what.
yeah, the
Mm.
programming was in the acid house, torturing was in the and like the chair were in the tunnels and like under the in the basement of like the radar tower. So yeah,
Wow. I mean, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I mean, that and obviously, it just makes me realize that when I hear that story, understand that these characters were your friends and very probably the ones that were coming through the portal all had a little part of you in them,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
was like literally coming back to look out for the kids and actually break down the shithole that they were torturing kids in. Although obviously we know now they've taken it elsewhere and there's many other little mole holes that come from that. But I
yeah,
mean, I mean, that would again make a lot of sense to me as to why, they would have be silencing your voice to the extent that they still are.
yeah.
Holly, I would love to know what your take on Chris's story is regarding that. Um, and also just any correlations you have, anything you've had that's may possibly been similar in your experience.
Oh boy. Again, I think it's awesome that your monsters came through that portal to protect you. That's awesome. Um, I wish I had something like that, or I wish I thought of something like that. But I was wondering how the Montauk monster got there. I'm glad it ripped everything apart. But as far as my experiences, they're so fragmented. Like sitting here listening to Chris, I'm wondering if maybe I confused some of my other memories and I was actually at Montauk and I'm thinking I was somewhere else. But it sounds exactly like what I went through, except I was so terrified I just left my body. Um, like, yeah, so, sorry I'm kind of useless.
Yeah. Well,
You're far from useless.
But good.
Wow, my goodness, you're far
well,
from useless at all. I mean, it's actually really, I mean, it makes sense to me that when this is why to me when survivors speak together it's really a good thing because as one speaking it's bringing into balance or correlation maybe or another piece of the puzzle that kind of slots in. But also I think what's interesting to me is that both of you talk about Dr. Green, but Holly, your Dr. Green was Joseph Mangler, and Chris, yours was another doctor. I can't remember I think you said it's
Heinrich Reinhardt,
Czechoslovakia. Right, Heinrich
Heinrich
Reinhardt. Yeah.
Reinhardt. He was like the chief of like secret services for Nazi, like and he faked his death in 1942 or 43, and like I think he's the initiator of the bigger paperclip. So he was like really special. Like we had to be all dressed up like in perfect manners when we were going to see him. And we had the chance to yeah. So yeah, Dr. Green. So because like Reinhard Heinrich in French is like like go to the moon 3 times back and forth. So yeah, we were kids still. So like Dr. Green was easy to.
I remember being
What?
brought into these projects and being very well, nicely dressed too. Like
Yeah,
with a girl dress, the saddle shoes, a pea coat, and very like dressed proper.
yeah.
So That's fascinating.
Mhm.
Sorry.
That's I went into ballrooms too, like ballroom dance, like like all classy and all, and yeah, like important people there, like yeah. So yeah, it's like once you read the book, you get all those like like you see the kind of people that are all in this, and like and that doesn't change. So it's all like lineage. It's the kids now. It's the families, same families. So like yeah, like it's not there to crumble all this. Like and like they know I have lists of names of so like they won't fuck around with this. Like because yeah, that would be like the headache that they don't want. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. Wow, guys. Been at it for 90 minutes. So this has been actually really amazing. And I would love if you guys would agree to do a future show together again,
Yeah,
and
sure.
maybe even do potential Montauk with some other Montauk survivors and just talk.
Yeah.
Let's
Different
talk about,
generation would be interesting. Maybe
yes,
like Juliet Engle and the younger ones and like just compare like try to like map a bit
yeah,
like the sub projects like what they were doing differently and stuff like that. That's going to be a big part of the understanding like once it's done like to just you- it's going to be really helpful. It's kind of a need to do this. So
totally. And
if
we
you
cannot
think
stop
logically, like,
talking. Yeah, sorry, Chris, I keep interrupting you. I don't mean
sorry,
to talk over
sorry.
you. No, it's me that talks over you. But I want to just say, what I did want to say was that I think it's so important to continue these conversations. We have to continue
Mhm.
talking. And
Yeah,
doesn't matter how crazy everyone thinks we are.
yeah,
We're on the crazy train. Come join
yeah,
us. It's fun. You
yeah.
know, we got our tinfoil hats on, all a different style. We like it that
Mhm.
way. We drank the
Yeah,
Kool-Aid. So I definitely think, yeah, we need to continue these conversations.
yeah,
So Holly, I'm gonna maybe just ask you because, yeah, just in maybe just to end off with something. And again, if anyone where people can find you. And I want to just point out there that all your both Chris and Holly's details will be in the description area. Um, so follow their links, their shows. They both have amazing books out. Holly, I know your books also recently come out. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that before we wrap up and where people can find you and all of those lovely things.
Okay. Well, they can find me at HollyBaglio.com. I'm still figuring out how to work my website, but if you email me through the website, I will get it, and I know how to retrieve the messages too. Um, but I'm on Facebook and YouTube, X, and Instagram. So, but just go to HollyBaglio.com and that'll give you all the details. As far as my book, I'm hoping to have it released by the end of this December. But depending on other companies and what's going on, it might be pushed back till January. But my book will be released hopefully the end of this month. And if you want to see a couple sneak peek drawings and a couple of chapters from the book, it's also up on my website too. So, but once the book is
Oh,
released, the details will be up. Sorry.
cool.
that's so awesome. And is there, do you have any, you've done quite a few interviews and shows lately. So what interviews and where can people catch some of your shows?
Okay. Well, I got the pleasure of doing a series with you, and you're kind of the one that kicked it off with me running the circuit. And I'm so glad that I got to do that series with you.
We're
But
gonna carry on. We're gonna carry on.
awesome.
It hasn't ended. It's
I
just
look
begun, babe. It's just begun. Yeah.
cool. because I get a little nervous doing interviews, I'll be honest, but I had the pleasure of going on Caravan to Midnight with John B. Wells, and I had the pleasure of interviewing with Dave Hodges on the Common Sense Show, and those interviews are also linked to my website under the tab Recent Interviews. So, and this interview will also be put up on my website too, if you don't mind. So,
Of course not. Of course
cool.
not. You may do
Sweet.
it with pleasure. Yay, that's so good. Nice, Holly. I'm really, this is why we do this. It really gives me great pleasure to know that our little channel was the opening for you to
Yeah.
get your story out there for so many people to hear and
Yes.
to create so much awareness. So this is what is gives me a sense of purpose. So I'm
That's
really
your
great.
pay. Yeah, that's your pay.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Of
Thank
course.
you.
It's absolutely. Honestly, anyone who's a healer out there knows that that is our fix more than money. I mean, we all need money to survive, right? We get that. But more than anything, it's that feeling of wow, that is that success that somebody else has benefited from something like this, from your interviews, and how many people out there have gotten to hear. And I'm sure, if they've watched your interview, they then would have gone to maybe do some more research on a whole lot of other shows as well, with a whole lot of other survivors. And that's really what we need to be doing now. So yay, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that, Ollie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Chris, you?
So yeah, and for next show, maybe we can talk about yeah, have a few generation and maybe yeah, start all the kind of initiating of all scrutinize all the difference between the projects and all. So that's a start to
Yeah, it's
that would be a
sub
good start.
project.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea actually to look into, because MK Ultra, right, is the big daddy or the big mommy, whatever. And from there, the Monarch programming and all of the other programmings and sub projects have been
yeah,
created really. MK Ultra is the main one. And yeah, it's scary to think how many people out there have been subjected to this, and we're seeing it
yeah,
now. And if there's so many people, and especially in the generation of around 50 years old now, because that's definitely the greatest, what I've noticed, the age group that's speaking now. But if you think about that, their parents, right, and their parents have all been subjected to it, and who have subjected their kids who are the 50s age group generation. And no doubt there's a whole lot of maybe two more generations beneath this that are still being subjected. And hopefully now it's going to stop, with so many people knowing what's going on here, that hope it's, yeah, I just hope that every child, when I say I hope, every child is precious, and every minute they are hurting kids. That's the thing. And animals, kids and animals for me. Anything that is defenseless. Old people, like an old person is just a big baby. I see that with my mom. She's just becoming a baby, a little child again. And it breaks my heart to see her and know and hear about how many old people in the old age homes and retirement places are abused. And I'm sure there must be a lot of this kind of stuff that they are subjected to as well. I wouldn't mind looking into that, when we're looking at prisons, psych wards, hospitals, we know that that is a big loosh harvesting place, right? I'm damn sure the old age homes must also be a big target for these monsters. Scary to think. But anyway, we'll figure it out, and I think it'll be great to have a look at a lot of those topics, and yeah, get some more guests on and get some more people talking and get some more information flying. I love that. So thank you. Great,
Thank you
everybody.
for thanks for doing the show. That was super cool, and
Thank you,
I'm
Sean.
looking forward to doing a second one. So yeah,
Me too. Thank you, Shanti.
Absolutely. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, everybody, for joining us again. I know these are never easy topics to talk about. They always give me the creeps. And when I rewatch my shows, I look at my face sometimes, and totally una- I'm totally unaware of the horrified look I have on my face. I'm going, Chantal, just change Chantal, your face. But no, seriously, it's mortifying for me to see or even to listen.
Yeah.
And we hear these stories all the time. It's got to stop, man. It's got to stop. People have got to realize this cannot carry on. And we are the ones that can stop it. We're the only ones that can. When we stop buying into their nonsense, when we stop supporting stranger things, and I think I mentioned this the other day, and I know, sorry, I was supposed to end off, but I have to say this. When we stop supporting series like Stranger Things, spiritually, we know what's going on. We know now, those of us who are watching these shows, we know that those series are based on the torture of both Holly and Chris and thousands of other kids. And if we are knowingly supporting them energetically, spiritually, and financially, we become
so we're just like we're paving them the way, like the golden road,
Yeah.
brick road for them.
That's my
So
point. We
Yeah.
can't say, oh, well, it's just tonight. I'll just watch one tonight. Bullshit. Every time you click on Stranger Things on Netflix, you are churning that mass loosh harvesting production and you are becoming part of it. And I know topics like this never make me popular. When I talk about animal harvesting and animal slaughterhouses, we can't ignore that. When we talk about boycotting stuff like this, we have to. But most people, if we want change, most people are lazy though. That's unfortunately what it is. We've become so used to the easy way out. Just put on a movie, oh, the kids are this, just give them some money, send them to me. Oh, they like this. Okay. It's become a way that we as adults have an excuse to disconnect from our kids. And that is why the world has become the way it has. We have to stop supporting the monsters spiritually, emotionally, mentally, energetically, and most definitely financially. Most definitely. If we all decided to boycott all of their series for a week, the entire planet, can you imagine? Just a week.
hmm
Just a week.
yeah,
That's the power we hold. And
Yeah.
that's what we as human beings have to realize. We hold the power. We can say no to this killing machine that's been going on forever. Yeah, we have the power. And it really just takes consciousness, knowledge, discipline, and a lot of compassion. Most people have lost their compassion because as long as it's not my child or my animal that it's happening to, then it doesn't matter. That's where we're wrong. Anyway, rant over. And on that night, on that night, on that note, I will say good night, everybody. Thank you guys very, very much. Really, really enjoyed having you both on and definitely look forward to having Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Holly. Bye.
Thank you, Chris.
See
Thank
you
you,
next
Sean.
Thanks.
Okay, end recording and